Star Citizen will be the greatest MMO ever made. And it will be in the top 10 list for greatest games ever made. Whew, let's do it. Let me start by saying I am not a CIG employee. I have no affiliation with CIG at all. I'm just a normal video game enthusiast and Star Citizen backer like everyone else. Everyone won't agree with me, and certainly people will flood the comments with an unhealthy dose of haterade. I don't care. I want all the smoke. Bring it. Let me say it again for the people in the back. I am predicting it right now. On New Year's Eve 2023, Star Citizen will be the greatest MMO ever made. And it will be in the top 10 list for greatest games ever made. Get ready for maybe the greatest Star Citizen commercial ever made. It might be. It might be. So let's get right to it. You can do almost anything. Think a less crime-centered GTA, but instead of 1 or 2 cities, you have a small galaxy. And I'll do 5 reasons here just to make sure that you get it. One of the greatest game series ever made was GTA. Why do we love it? It's because it's basically a sandbox with digital toys. You pick what you want to do. Sure, there are missions and a story, but you could never touch any of it and you would still have the time of your life. The same can be said for Star Citizen. You can pick a career or be a space pirate. You can try to get a reputation with a faction, or you could just fly ships around all day. You could try to find all the loot on a single planet, never touching a spaceship, or you could live on your ship going from space station to space station and never touch land again. The depth of player choice available in Star Citizen is extremely rare to see in video games. And it's never been seen at this scale with this type of fidelity. If you were playing the game back in 2020, we literally voted to choose the next president of the United Earth Empire, which is in game called an imperator. Shout out to Honorable Leilani Addison. How is that for choice? Choosing the in-game president not enough? Well, you can mine, you can lay mine fields, you can salvage wrecks, become a mercenary, become a bounty hunter, become a doctor, become a scientist, be an explorer. You can be a space trucker, a repairman, a smuggler, a news broadcaster, a passenger pilot, a racer, and even more than that. But okay, if that's not enough for you, let's just talk about the new technology that Star Citizen is bringing into the game. Space flight mechanics, star engine, spaceship design, server mesh, and quanta. Let's start with the space flight mechanics. They've been done, but never like this. Star Citizen's Master Mode splits your travel through space into 2 distinct speed groups. SCM allows shields, weapons, and high regeneration rates for your power capacitors, but you're limited on top speed. Nav allows high speed, but no shields, no weapons, and restricts capacitor regeneration. Basically, you're either in fight mode or flight mode, but never both. Not to mention a 100% accurate flight thruster model, the intelligent flight control system, Newtonian physics, and auto gimbals. Flying in Star Citizen is not like flying in any other spaceflight game. Star Engine is delivering what space games have been promising for years. If you've been watching this video, then you've seen all the incredible things Star Engine can offer. It's nothing short of amazing. Everything that you're seeing in the background right now, that is Star Engine. But just in case you missed it, because you're listening to me, I'll put the list of features here. If you don't think Star Citizen has mastered spaceship design, just compare these ships in Star Citizen to any spaceships from any space-related IP you can think of. Game, movie, TV show, or otherwise. Star Citizen has a ship that can beat it in design, guaranteed. Mainly because they learned from those very same IPs that you're naming in your head right now. Then they mastered it by letting the developers take their time. Look at what is possible when you give people time to play a game and develop while it's being played. People love Cyberpunk 2077 now after Phantom Liberty, but look what happened when they rushed it in the beginning. What about an actual space game like No Man's Sky? When it came out, people were like, this isn't what was promised. Now it is a bestseller. We even have a current example as we speak. Look at the launch of Starfield. Before Star Citizen's full release, I would bet money that Starfield will have the same type of turnaround as those other games I mentioned. Yes, Star Citizen took 11 years to go feature complete for the campaign. That is a long time. Nobody denies that. And trust me, the haters will not let us forget it. And we still don't have a release date. But just look at what will be delivered. We just talked about Star Engine, which is playing in the background, but also look at CitizenCon 2023. In fact, let's look at what is probably the most groundbreaking feature: dynamic server meshing, which is a landmark achievement in video game history. Even at the early stage we've seen at CitizenCon 2023, remember when the industry shifted to hiding loading screens behind scenery transitions rather than having a spinning disc? This is bigger than that. You might be saying, EVE Online has had server meshing for years. What's the big deal? We are talking about dynamic server meshing. This is allowing multiple servers to dynamically take control of an area based on population by allowing each object container to become a server. When done right, no server is overloaded, no server is underutilized, and only objects are streamed in that are in the view of a player, while everything else is done in code, saving tons of resources. To fully explain it would take like an hour, so I'll link to an article in the description, but essentially this allows all people to play together without having to choose a server where different things are happening. And it allows all objects to persist in the universe for everyone. That is absolutely groundbreaking. Now let's talk about Quanta, the AI that will fill the game with people who are actually doing things. The AI that will make the universe a living and breathing universe. This might be my #1 reason for loving this game, because it's the moment where I decided this was it. Talks about the in-game NPCs, but this is absolutely legendary, and it has applications even outside of gaming. This is the thing that made me a true believer. The NPCs will have hopes, dreams, desires, needs, wants, and other things that will drive them to take certain actions in the universe, making it completely dynamic. Meaning, even without player interaction, the NPCs are living. An NPC who wanted to work hard and become the CEO of a mining operation might have his dreams dashed by an NPC who blew up the wrong Orion ship while practicing dropping bombs so they can become a Navy pilot. Then that turns the first NPC into a bounty hunter, and then after they get their revenge, they stay a bounty hunter. The best part, all that is happening off screen with NPCs, non-player characters. What we think is a simple bounty hunter catching a criminal can have a backstory that you would never know unless you followed them. There is something special about that. I imagine blowing up a ship that attacked me, only for the NPC's son, the one that was the pilot of the ship, to put an illegal bounty on my head and try to sabotage my operations in the region. Essentially, they become my nemesis. It's hard to even comprehend just how amazing that possibility is. I have been into Star Citizen since December 2017, and still, it's so much. And speaking of so much, let's just talk about the amount of content and lore in this game. 100 star systems. Let me give you an idea of how big that is. If we are talking Earth, you could travel at 4 times the speed of light from here, and it would still take you over a year to reach the next closest star to our sun. Now times that by 100, and that's what will be available in Star Citizen. The scale has never before been done in gaming, while having every planet filled with playable content. No shade to Starfield, but yeah, that part is key. Planets filled with playable content. We're talking fully complete planets. The amount of detail and work that has been put into every single planet makes it feel like it has things to do everywhere. Caves, rivers, mountains, cities, villages, compounds, derelicts. You could drive around without ever entering space and have a complete game just by doing that. Now add 300 plus other planets. To that, add 300 plus moons with the same features as the planets, but a little less dense. Now add 300 plus space stations. Just to step foot on everything available in the game, just to step foot on it, would take years. And it would take decades to seek out all the content the game will have to offer. Is that not enough for you? Well, let's talk about the history and lore. One of the reasons people fell in love with stories like The Lord of the Rings, The Witcher, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, Star Trek, Elder Scrolls is because of how deep the lore goes. You would have to read books for months to understand it all. Well, add Star Citizen to that list. There is a dedicated lore team that not only has already matched the amount of history in some of those titles I mentioned before, but they are still writing and will continue to write the stories as the game releases. Oh, and did I mention that everything you do in game will be added to the lore and history of the game, meaning you are a unique part of the game and will always be remembered in its pages. There is something amazing about being remembered in a game, especially when MMOs have shelf lives of like 25 years. If you doubt their dedication to history and lore, just look at the creation of new languages. There are not one, not two, but 3 languages that have come out of Star Citizen already, and the game hasn't even fully released. Xian, Banu, and Vandal. Look it up. 3 full languages. So let's say you don't want to do all that crazy stuff. I've been talking about you just like a nice linear story with a beginning, middle, and end. Well, what if I told you some of the greatest sci-fi actors of all time have done voice and motion capture for that in-game campaign mode for the game, Squadron 42. Squadron 42 is set in the same universe as Star Citizen, and it can even be used as a prerequisite for entering the Star Citizen universe. Remember those movies I talked about earlier? This game has actors from nearly all of them. We're talking Gillian Anderson from X-Files, American Gods, Ben Mendelsohn, Star Wars, Dark Knight Rises, Ready Player One, friggin' Henry Cavill, Man of Steel, Mission Impossible, The Witcher, Mark Strong, Sherlock Holmes, Green Lantern, Doom. Then there are the Academy Award-winning actors like Gary Oldman, Dark Knight, Fifth Element, RoboCop, Andy Serkis, Lord of the Rings, Avengers, Planet of the Apes, King Kong, Star Wars, Andor, and even the Batman. You got Liam Cunningham from Game of Thrones, Sir Davos Seaworth, anybody? And last but probably the biggest name on the list, as far as space sci-fi is concerned, Mark Hamill, who played, obviously, Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. Not to mention actors you've loved before that have nothing to do with sci-fi, like Damson Idris from Snowfall and Jack Huston from Boardwalk Empire, Emmy winner, SAG winner. This is a full ensemble cast for a video game. Now, if all of that doesn't get you, let's move to my 4th reason, the skill and requirement and depth of a spaceman. One of the things I think people miss about video games is the skill it used to take to play them, the difficulty of mastering them, and feeling like there was something at stake every time you made a major mistake. Now there are so many games where there aren't any real consequences. You just reload a save or respawn and you're right back in it like nothing ever happened. That's why so many cling to the likes of Dark Souls, Sifu, Elden Ring, because they're trying to get that old school feeling back. Enter Star Citizen's Death of a Spaceman. You have to eat, drink, and sleep in the game to stay healthy. You say, great, that's been done before. You have to be aware of the atmosphere, temperatures, environments, and bring the right equipment or things could kill you. Not to mention, if you die, you lose all your gear to any scavenger that comes along. Again, you might say, great, that's been done before. If you die in the game, you die in real life. Oh wait. That's not, hold on, is that real? Steve, is that? Okay, strike that last one. But what happens is if you die, there are consequences. You come back, but your body will eventually deteriorate so much that you can't be brought back. And you'll have to come back as a clone on your own, offspring even. Sure, you can leave your material things to this new character. Your progress and factions and missions, gone. Your physical health, such as muscle and stamina gain, gone. Your in-game trade agreements, treaties, and alliances, at the very least, heavily diminished. Maybe you can find a game that has 1 or 2 of these things, but not all of them. Skill is back, folks. There is a reason to stay alive. There is a reason to practice and get skilled in this game. There is a real thrill and fear that comes with going on a mission. Healthy video game anxiety at its best. All right, my last reason, my 5th reason, not gonna keep you much longer. If you stuck with me this far, then you're in for a treat. Does anybody remember that virtual world called Second Life? It was really big in like 2013. Oddly, it was like right before CIG started releasing the first hangar modules for Star Citizen. Anyway, in Second Life, it's not really a game. There's no set objective, no primary conflict, just a beautiful world to hang out with other people. Now, Second Life has its own community and its own crowd. Not saying this game is Second Life. So why did I bring it up? One of my favorite things to do is just hang out in the game with my friends, doing nothing but walking around and flying. It really became sort of Second Life-like because it has this digital hangout world vibe. Not because it was built that way, but because the Star Citizen community has been one of the best communities I have ever been a part of. People are friendly and helpful, both in the game and outside the game. Not a lot of games allow you to do that in a full, developed, and modern digital space. Everything is better with friends. At the same time, you can play it solo and still have amazing fun. I noticed how many people just log on, fly to a planet or moon and just walk around. People log on and just stare at their digital ship. Others just take pictures of the digital universe. How many games these days give you the feeling that you can just relax? Sure, there's a mission to do, a race to win, a rock to mine, but what's the rush? You can spend a whole year just taking in the scenery and never really get bored. You can just watch other players play and spectate. You can relax in the house you built, the ship you bought. You can walk around with the space cows on your farm. There's something special about the living world that Star Citizen is creating. The visual fidelity and fullness of the verse is something we've never seen before. And there is so much more beauty to come. I'm already having fun with what we can do so far. I can't even imagine how much I will have when it releases. And for all those reasons, I honestly can name about 20 more. Star Citizen is going to be the greatest MMO ever made. And I'll be humble and I'll say Star Citizen will be one of the top 10 greatest games ever made. But you know what I really think. Yeah, you know. A quick message to those who call this pure fanboyism. If you have a game that can do all that, show me. If you know a better MMO in existence or that's coming, tell me. Write it in the comments. And then I'll give you a reason why Star Citizen will be better. Bring it.